Welcome to HEA's Hypno Connect, the podcast by the Hypnosis Education Association. Real conversations, expert insights, and meaningful connection. Brought to you by HypnoBiz in a Box, the ultimate all-in-one hypnosis business platform. Let's get to it. We're excited to introduce Amanda Joy, clinical hypnotherapist and director of studies at the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy, as our guest on HEA's Hypno Connect. With over 25 years of experience, Amanda has dedicated her career to helping individuals overcome addiction and emotional challenges. She's the founder of the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy and leads addiction recovery research in collaboration with organizations like the Salvation Army. In her presentation, Navigating the Emotional Landscape of Addiction, Amanda will guide us through the emotional drivers behind addiction, survival, status, identity, and love, and share her trance method that focuses on authenticity, resilience, and vulnerability as keys to recovery. You'll walk away with actionable strategies to help your clients build healthier coping mechanisms, enhance self-discovery, and reclaim their purpose and well-being. We'll let Amanda take over here in just a moment, but for now, your hosts for Hypno Connect, your HEA President, Melanie McCool, and HEA's Vice President, yours truly, Sean Bray. Hey, what's up?
Awesome.
We made it.
We made it. And happy Tuesday, everybody, on this different day of the week that we've got Amanda here. Thanks for showing up. And those of you who are here on the live in the group, either live or on the replay, please do comment to let us know that you have seen this. And it's a public group, so you can share this video anywhere on Facebook and people will be able to watch it. They don't have to be a member of HEA or even a member of the group to take a look. So with that, welcome, Amanda. Super excited for what you have to share with us today. We've gotten to learn a bit about you on our talks. Patty made it. Yay. Brilliant.
What's up, Patty?
Awesome. And just whenever you fill me in on what you're doing and the difference that you're making in a system that is desperately in need of the difference that you make, I just can't wait to hear what you get to fill us in on and any which way that you can inspire us to.
And we've been waiting a while for this too.
Yeah, we have.
We lined this up months ago.
Yeah, awesome.
We did say we were going to do this last year. So it's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and share my protocol and what I've been working on. And I'm still working on. I think this is a bit of a work in progress. So I'm going to share what I've learned and what I find works. And I'll share a little bit of my personal journey as well, because it's very much part of that. But it's lovely to be here and lovely to see you all. Thank you for coming on the call.
And if you haven't met, Patricia is actually the former president before I took over. So I would should personally introduce you to Patricia.
Really lovely to meet you.
If you haven't met Peter Blum personally, this is a amazing human being.
I'm just admiring his instruments.
Yeah. And they're standing. Hi, Daddy, we love you. Awesome. Brilliant.
Aw.
All right.
Okay.
Take it away. It's all you.
Thank you. I have got some notes that I'm probably going to ignore, but I might look at occasions. And I'm going to share my screen just to give you something to look at other than my face, basically. So I'm Amanda Joy, and I'm the Director of Studies at the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy, based in the northeast of England. I've been teaching for 5 years now, teaching clinical hypnosis. I have 3 main programs. I have a diploma in clinical hypnotherapy. I have a diploma in spiritual hypnotherapy, the kind of more esoteric perspectives. And I have a teacher training diploma so that people can go out and teach meditation in their communities. Meditation and hypnotherapy have been 2 things that have been massive in my life in terms of helping me to heal, helping me to live well, helping me to reach my objectives, and actually helping me to even be here today. So I'll share a little bit more about myself as I go along. Hopefully you can see my slide. This is me. I'm just going to move this picture over here. And this is on the left here is a picture of me looking rather jolly. And on the right is another picture of me looking rather jolly with my husband. And the reason why I wanted to show you this picture is on the left is actually me getting handfasted. On the right is me actually getting married, which happened just this last year and the year before. But something like this for me just felt like so far away, and so like who would want to marry me? And you're looking at a very different version of me now. I've got blue tack holding my camera up and it keeps slipping, so apologies for that. The magic blue tack that holds my world together. No, I'm sure we've all got a bit of blue tack holding us together somewhere. So I, for many years, engaged with substance use myself. My central substance of choice, if you like, was alcohol. I started drinking when I was quite young, and there was something about it that was really alluring and elusive and insidious, and you know, I used to think it was quite clever to understand about wines and real ales, and it made me all grown up and wonderful when I was a teenager. I always had I had an appreciation for music as well, and I remember getting drunk and getting high on marijuana and listening to Pink Floyd in my teenage years and thinking, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing experience of my life. And having those kind of experiences as I was growing up were all very positive and quite enriching. I used a lot of marijuana, which kind of took me to places and spaces where I was very sociable with people. I connected with people. And I think when you're in those social settings and you're talking about the world and what you're experiencing, you're also learning about yourself as well. So substances were really a way of me socializing. They were a way of me kind of getting over my shyness and my uncomfortableness, being in my own skin. And I just thought everybody smokes a bit of marijuana, everybody has a few beers, everybody parties occasionally. And of course, I grew up I was born in the 70s and I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So we also had the rave scene. So I really enjoyed LSD and I really enjoyed ecstasy as well. I think I experienced connection with people like I'd never had using ecstasy. And these were all just things like experimenting with things and getting to know myself and all of those aspects. And alcohol was always there. As I got older, things really started to spiral out of control. And I started developing a tolerance and a dependence. And also, I had a back injury. And I hear reflections or similarities to my own story with so many other people. I went to see my doctor and they prescribed me Valium for muscle relaxing. They prescribed me opiates for pain relief, and they prescribed me gabapentin for nerve discomfort, nerve pain. That trinity of trouble that I was prescribed. And then I went traveling and I went to Spain, where I saw another doctor who prescribed other medicines, benzodiazepines and opiates, and gabapentin based medications and other types of. And then I went to live in the Middle East and had a third doctor who, so, you know, I was really touring the pharmacies and the chemists and just living on a cocktail of prescription medications. Alcohol was always a favorite of mine. one of the reasons I went to the Middle East was to try to stop drinking. I thought if I go to a country where nobody drinks and it's illegal, I'll not drink alcohol. And what I just discovered was that I'll just hang out with some really exceptionally dodgy people to be able to get what I need. And I think my metaphor was I started off in the penthouse, and then I eventually ended up very much in the basement. And it all looked like fun and sunshine and parties, but I was massively overweight. My body was covered in sores and boils, and I had lost my vision in one eye. I was losing my vision in another eye. So I was going blind, and my skin was turning yellow. And I went to see a doctor, and the doctor said to me, "You've got about 3 months before you're going to need very, very serious medical intervention." So I didn't go and see that doctor again, because I didn't want to hear that. People talk about living in denial. I was living in a delusion. I really believed that everybody drank the way that I did. Everybody used substances in the way that I did. So bringing it up to today, I'm very fortunate that I found recovery, and hypnotherapy was the biggest game changer for me. It was what actually helped me to live again. I did the rehab and the medical detox to get off the substances, but I did not know how to live. I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't know how to do banking. I didn't know we had to pay things like council tax. What was that all about? I had no idea that I needed a TV license. Are we meant to have one of those? All of a sudden, I was thrust into adulthood, and I missed all of the lessons on how to navigate life. So what hypnotherapy did was it helped me to build an inner resilience. It helped me to reconnect with my joy and my happiness. It gave me confidence. It helped me to recognize that I had this incredible inner strength that I could tap into whenever I needed it. And it helped me to ask for help when I needed to do that too. And I really believe that it saved my life. So when I trained and retrained in clinical hypnotherapy, it was really because I wanted to do this really important work, and I can't really underestimate the need for this work. This is I could talk about the statistics of drug-related deaths around the world for probably another 4 hours. But I just wanted to share a little bit about where I am. I'm in the northeast of England, which is pretty bad, but we've got a huge problem in Scotland. Scotland is one of the highest areas, and in 2023, just last year, we had 1,172 people die as a result of a drug-related death. And this is an accidental death. So every single one of those deaths could have and should have been prevented. That's a 12% increase from what we were seeing in 2022. And Scotland has 2.7 times higher a problem, a challenge with substances than in the UK, and it completely surpasses what we see in the European statistics as well. England and Wales reported 4,907 drug poisoning deaths in 2022. It just highlights the absolute massive widespread crisis that we have around with substances. And this problem is not getting better. For the past 11 years, this problem has continued to get worse and worse and worse. Now, I know that I've got a bit of an American audience this evening, so I don't have the exact data for the USA because I don't tend to use that data very often, being from the UK. But I did see that the age-adjusted rate of drug overdose deaths has increased from 8.9 deaths per 100,000 people to 32.6 deaths in 2022. So in just a short period of time, your challenges and your difficulties with this has absolutely skyrocketed as well. Huge challenges with drug related deaths all around the world, and it's not getting any better at all. So my protocol focuses on like three kind of key areas of recovery, and we include authenticity, resilience, and vulnerability. But there are already theories out there. These are some of the theories that you've probably already heard of. It's a choice theory. You're choosing to use this substance because you're a bad person. You've got bad morals. You're making poor decisions. This is really a very oversimplified idea that people would want to choose. Now, I definitely remember choosing to have a drink, and I definitely remember choosing to engage in some of these activities. I definitely had a choice, but I wanted to understand, what was it that made me go back to it? How come my mate Sandra could have a line of Coke on a Friday night and then never touch it for a few months? How come my friend John could smoke marijuana at a music festival and then not smoke it till the following year in the next music festival? How come some people could have a drink and other people, once they pick up a drink, can't seem to stop? Because I was definitely one of those people that couldn't stop. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't as a direct influence of a very challenging upbringing. I was brought up in the Yorkshire Dales. I have a lovely, quite conservative and Christian family who didn't really drink at all. This was just something that I chose, that lit me up, that did something for me that I needed. It gave me something that I didn't have access to naturally, and I wanted to know what it was and understand it a little bit more. So I looked at, well, is it genetic? Is there a genetic predisposition? Now, I've read in a few different places really kind of opposing ideas about genetics. I've read that 10% of the population of people in the world who drink alcohol will just become alcoholics because there's a genetic predisposition, there's a vulnerability there, there's something biological there, there's a neurological issue there, and the AA kind of Alcoholics Anonymous perspective would suggest that it's a disease, and they talk about it being an allergy, like an allergy to booze that makes you need to go back to it. And there was just something not quite right there for me, and I couldn't really make it all add up. So I looked at, well, is it self-medicating? Are we like relieving something? Is there some kind of underlying psychological problem? Is it that I'm in so much emotional distress all day, every day, that I need to numb out this in some way and self-medicate? And it's definitely what is in a lot of the conversations I have about why people use and reuse. So there's definitely something there, but again, there was something just a little bit missing. And then other theories would suggest it is because of your environment. Perhaps you've been brought up in an environment where there was lots of drinking or lots of substance use or lots of violence, or you were around it. But again, all of these, there's like, I can see little dimensions of it, little glimmers of truth and reality in there, but nothing really answered my questions in full. I like the biopsychosocial model because it looks at kind of all of those things, and it looks at childhood experiences, and it looks at life, and it looks at the idea of chemistry, and it moves away from the disease model a little bit. And it moves away a little bit from the idea of self-medicating and looks more at perhaps trauma and mental health struggles. So I quite liked a little bit of that. But I still felt like something was missing. And what I felt was missing was nobody was addressing emotion. Nobody was talking about what people feel and why, and feelings and emotions and sensations. No one's talking about what we're imagining either. Nobody's talking about the imagination. And what I absolutely love about hypnotherapy is it's all what you talk about. It's absolutely everything. It's the language of the subconscious is the emotions and the imagination. I thought, oh, that's why it works. That's why it works, because it addresses what these other ideas don't address. We have the most amazing set of tools. We have tools that work with the emotions and work with the imagination. And I got really excited. Yeah, we still do need to perhaps be aware of adverse childhood experiences. And we know that it only takes four things, four big T's, traumas, traumatic events, for people to become more vulnerable, more likely to become an addict as a result of their childhood experiences. And actually, the COVID pandemic has now been categorized as an ACE. So everybody's had at least one if they've been a child in the last few years. But it can be things like loss of a parent, moving house. It doesn't have to be great big things. It's not a great deal to enhance the likelihood. So there's definitely adverse childhood experiences are definitely an influencing factor, but not with everyone. I mean, at the core, I would say addiction is often a response to traumatic experiences, to trauma in general. I work a lot with people who've come home from war and they're drinking to block out, to move away from some of the horrific things they've seen and experienced. And there's an element of trauma and loss and emotional loss and distress that can make people more vulnerable to becoming addicted to substances, or certainly having a phase or a time in their life where they're using a lot more than they would perhaps normally use. So there is a drive there to escape pain, to move away from pain. But there's also something which I don't think a lot of people really address, and it's about the fact that a lot of people begin their substance use because nothing to do with trauma. They haven't had childhood traumatic experiences. They haven't had all sorts of awful things happen to them. They haven't been at war. They've had quite a good upbringing. They've had quite a good education. They even might be educated about substances, but they still seem to go back to them. And I think one of the reasons is it's a desire, it's a drive to feel joy, to experience joy, to experience real, authentic happiness, to experience real authentic joy. And I'm finding that people, yes, they want to escape pain. Yes, they may want to numb things out, but actually people want to feel comfortable in their own skin, having a laugh. People want to feel comfortable in their own skin, dancing, singing, talking to others, connecting with others, being a part of their communities, feeling safe to be themselves, knowing who they are so they can avoid the risks of becoming a people pleaser, and stay kind of in kind of safe boundaried areas of their lives so that they can experience and be vulnerable enough and open enough to experience joy. And what I've discovered over the past number of years is that most of the people I work with can't experience joy, can't experience happiness, can't experience connection until they've engaged with the substance of their choice. So I believe that addiction is both a flight from suffering, but it's also a pursuit of fleeting happiness. It's the pursuit of joy. It's to feel connection with others. And I also think that the things that are really important that we have to think about when we're navigating the complexity of substance use is, what are our clients imagining? What is the journey of imagination that they are going on? What's going on in their mind? What's their mindset? What are they thinking about? What are they what are their fantasies? What are their worries? What are their concerns? What is their imagination doing? And what are the emotions and the sensations that they are experiencing? So at the center of my addictions map, and I've kind of got an addictions map to kind of explain what addiction is from this kind of emotion, imagination perspective. That's very much in our hypnotic language that we use. And then I've got a protocol that we can kind of very loosely hang what we're doing. I find that when I'm working with clients who have got quite challenging things, be it PTSD or phobias or worry or anxiety, whatever it is that I'm working with, I do quite like a bit of a protocol. Like have I asked these questions? Have I done that bit? Have I done that bit? Have I done that? Do I need to add this bit in? You can always edit things and move things around, but I quite like a bit of a protocol. So I've created a little bit of a protocol for people to follow that I believe really helps a therapist to communicate effectively in the therapy room, as well as understand and ask the right questions to get what they need so that they can really help people to the best that we can. So at the center of my addictions is three keys, or three pillars, if you like, of healing: authenticity, resilience, and vulnerability. So authenticity, and these are the things that we want to encourage and bring about and support and enable and ask about as well, because authenticity for me is about being really connected with a sense of who you are, the true self, if you like, which can often be suppressed because people don't feel safe being themselves. They haven't had time to understand, or they haven't learned who they are. They haven't experienced connection and love and support. Maybe they haven't really decided who they are and how they fit into the world. They don't really have a sense of who they are. And what I also find is that people who have been using substances for a long time, and I'm speaking personally when I say this, we're really full of lies. We don't tell the truth. We have so much uncomfortableness being ourselves. We lie. I would rather, in my days of using, I would rather lie than tell you the truth that might get me into trouble. So that meant I would lie about money, and I would lie about where I'd been, and I'd lie about how much I was using, and I would lie about who I'd hung about with. And it got to a point where nobody believed anything I said anymore, simply because I was just totally uncomfortable with being me. So helping people to be comfortable in their own skin, helping people to be honest, helping people to be themselves, warts and all, having that acceptance, that non-judgmental space that we can create for our clients is really, really very much a key to healing. Then resilience is another one. We need to develop the ability to regulate our own body, our own emotions. We need to have some problem solving skills. We need some strategies. I remember when I first started paying my gas and electric bill, not so long ago, and a big bill coming through the post, and thinking, how am I going to manage this? And absolutely having no way of managing the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the discomfort that this one letter that dropped on my mat brought me. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the strategies, I didn't know what to do or how to cope with this. So we need to work out where there's a lack of strategies, there's a lack of coping skills, a lack of problem solving skills, and we need to help people to become more resilient, and I think things like social groups, supportive groups, hobby groups, religious groups, even recovery groups are absolutely brilliant places to go. To bolster that development of resilience. And of course, we have a massive toolkit of strategies for both of those qualities, those keys. And finally, vulnerability. Vulnerability became a mantra for me. There is strength in my vulnerability. I could not ask for help. I didn't want to be honest about how messed up things had got. I didn't want to be honest. I didn't want to share. I couldn't. Being vulnerable was so scary. And a lot of people see vulnerability as weakness, but actually it's a huge strength is vulnerability. And when we are vulnerable, we're open. If we're not open and we're not vulnerable, we can't even receive a compliment. Somebody says, oh, you look good today. What do? Ping, you bat it away. You reject that compliment. We know that our clients, we can take them into trance and say lovely things to them. And if that's not resonating with how they're feeling, they're going to just reject everything. We have to be open. We have to be vulnerable to receive love. We have to be open and vulnerable to have those supportive connections in our lives. So being vulnerable actually brings about the ability to be self-compassionate and to create those genuine connections that we need to have, because quite often when you've been engaging with an addiction for a really long time, you're hanging out with the wrong people. So you need to go and create a new tribe of people around you, and that can be incredibly scary. So supporting authenticity, bringing about resilience, coping strategies, and helping people to feel that there's strength in their vulnerability is central to healing from any addiction. And I'm using the label addiction. I know we don't particularly like labels, and they're not always helpful. I'm using the term addiction because I'm talking about it in a very generic way. But what I mean by addiction is something that you can't stop doing, even when you know it is really bad. So it might not just be booze or cocaine or marijuana or alcohol or benzodiazepines or anything. It might be shopping on Amazon. It might be that you've maxed out all your credit cards, but you're still shopping. It might be that you're borrowing money to shop and you know it's harming you and you know it's damaging you, but you just can't stop. That's what I mean by addiction. You're aware that it's harming you, but you're continuing to do it anyway. So authenticity implies being at ease with your own identity and being able to express yourself without fear. Fear was of being me was definitely something that was really challenging for me. Resilience is about adaptability. It's about having a positive outlook. It's about having effective coping strategies. We do need to bear in mind childhood experiences as well, because when we've lived in a really high stress, high cortisol kind of life in childhood, we have quite often to have a smaller hippocampi. Our hippocampus doesn't develop as effectively, so we have less resilience. So it's about helping people to do that healing so that they can regulate their emotions and do that as well. And then vulnerability. So here's the map that I use when I'm researching what's happening for my clients when I'm in consultation. So at the top there is safety. We all have that kind of inner desire to stay alive, and we need to feel safe in the world that we live in. Now, many of us can't feel safe for a lot of reasons, and that can have an impact on our authenticity. If it's not safe to be vulnerable, or if we haven't got that, if we've had a challenging life, then safety is something that we might want to find. We want to feel safe. Here on the side where I've got like a man in a mirror, this represents identity. Do we know ourselves? If I don't know myself, how do I know what I like? How do I know what I don't like? How do I know what's good for me? How do I know what's not good for me? How do I have those really healthy boundaries that are going to keep me healthy? How do I know how to meet my own needs if I don't know what my needs are? So having that understanding of emotional identity is here. And then at the very bottom, we need love. We are humans and we need to feel loved and give love and hug and be connected to people. And if we don't have that love, if we don't have the self-love, and if we don't have the loving people around us, we don't have that support, then we'll seek that somewhere else. And then at the side here, we've got purpose. Purpose provides us with meaning. It provides us with motivation. And what I've often found with addiction recovery, the recovery journey, if you like, is that we go on a bit of an exploration of personal strengths. We go on an exploration of our values. We go on a journey of learning who we are and why we're here. What's my purpose? And if we don't really have a purpose, and if we don't really have a status in our world, that can also be a challenge for us. So that's kind of like the north, the south, the east, and the west of the map so far. Then kind of at the top here, I've got this guy whose head's about to explode, because what I tend to find with people who are using substances is many people, in particular with marijuana reuse, is that some people just find it really difficult to have a calm mind. Anxiety levels are high, stress levels are high. So they don't have what I call headspace, like a feeling that their head is so full of thoughts, so full of ideas, so full of worries, so full of concerns, so full of noise, so full of reliving negative experiences or experiences over and over and over again. And I've joked with many of my clients about how our mind doesn't replay that moment where, you know, Julie was mean to you at work this morning. Your mind zooms in on the worst bit, the nastiest part, and we replay and replay and replay and replay that part of it over and over and over again in our minds, and it just fills our head with noise, and we don't have any ability, we don't know how to switch that off, we don't know how to create that feeling of headspace. Also, we have this one here with the two heads, discovery. We have to go on a journey of self-discovery when we're growing up. We do that by hanging out with people. We do that with meeting, learning things, going to school, hanging out with friends. You learn who you are through mirroring from people, through having that love, through having that connection with others. We learn, we go on a bit of a journey of self-discovery. And if we haven't had that journey of self-discovery, if we haven't had that love, if we don't know who we are, that's a real challenge as well. But there's a sense of discovery that, you know, if we haven't been on that journey, that a lot of us have. I know that a lot of people who use sort of alcohol or marijuana, they use it because they want to have those interesting conversations. They want to shake it up a little bit. They want to have those deep and meaningful conversations where they can be reflective and learn. And a lot of substance users will say it's the only time I ever get to have those meaningful, interesting, inspiring conversations. Then over here we have connection. Connection with friends, connection with families, connection with our community, connection with our tribe. If we don't have that connection with other people in the world, it's really difficult. We don't know who we are if we don't have that connection. If we don't have connection, we don't get the love and the support that we need. And then finally, it's a feeling of achievement. And underneath this feeling of achievement, it's like satisfaction about getting stuff done. It's motivation and drive to get stuff done. But it's also about having that sense of purpose, like this is who I am, this is why I'm here, this is the journey that I'm on in my life, I know who I am, and woo, I've just done something today that I'm really proud of. I feel good, I feel on top of the world, I've got confidence, I know who I am, I know myself, I know who I am in the world, and I feel good about that. I've got that sense of achievement. Now, when we start combining these characteristics of safety and headspace, and we imagine that perhaps somebody hasn't felt safe in their life, so they don't feel safe in their world. Let's say they don't feel safe in their job. Maybe they've got to achieve something, but their head is really full of noise and they don't feel safe in the world. My husband used to work for Barclays Bank, and they had these crazy objectives that they had to reach. The pressure that have all these like mindfulness slogans on the wall, but they'd be like whipping you to achieve these, and he just drank coffee. Coffee. Guess what caffeine does? It gives you a sense of achievement. It gives you the drive. It gives you clarity and headspace. And when you have that, you feel safe because you can get stuff done. And this is what the map does. It starts to look at what are the characteristics of the substances. Because very often when we're working with addicts, we look at the substance that the addict is using. We look at what they're addicted to. We look at the behavior. We look at the actions. And actually, what I think we're missing is what's the good stuff? How is this substance supporting them? What hole is it filling? what what's the challenge what do they lack? What can't they get naturally that they're getting from this substance? And when I realized that there was a bit of a hole in my soul, or there was a lack of something in my life, when I realized that I was filling that with something and that substance was actually meeting my needs, it was like a light bulb moment. I have emotional needs. I need to feel safe. I need to get a sense of my own self. I need somebody to love me, and I need to love others. I need to know who I am in the world. And if I don't have these things, if I don't have these emotions and these ideas, well, then I'm gonna really love substances when they give me it in an instant. So if we look at feelings of safety, and achievement and headspace, what we're talking about, coffee definitely gives us that drive and the headspace, and it gives us what we need. Benzodiazepines, those kinds of like Valium, all of those kinds of substances help us to feel calm mentally, help us to feel calm physically, and help us to feel safe. So if we're not feeling safe in our world, we're going to love Valium. If we're not feeling safe in our world, and there's a bit of a lack of that achievement, and there's that not that clarity of thought, there's not that what we need for a drive, we're going to love coffee. We're going to have that coffee and we're going to be like, oh, this is what I need. And then we're going to go back to it because we've learned it's what we need. It's meeting our needs. Same with things like cannabis and opioids. When we have cannabis, it gives us it doesn't make your head bigger, but it gives you a sense of headspace. Now that I'm high, or now I'm stoned, I've got this sense that I can think more. I've got more room in my mind for all of these thoughts, and that can help me on a bit of a path of self-discovery as well. And it can help me to feel safe, and it can help me to be authentic, and it can help me to feel resilient, and it can help me in ways that I don't have that natural capacity. And the more I'm reliant on the substance to get me that, the farther away from being able to get it naturally becoming. When we look at alcohol and some of the synthetic opioids, and the opioids, and I've had to add synthetic opioids onto this because since since the opium fields, the poppy fields have been kind of like with the Afghanistan, kind of what's happened there, and the Taliban have kind of come back in and stopped heroin from coming out. Heroin's quality has gone down and the price has gone up, and people don't want it anymore, so they're using the synthetic opioids. Things like fentanyl is really popular at the moment. You only need a tiny little bit to get the same amount of impact as well, so it's a lot stronger and it's a lot more addictive. And they're mixing it with flipping everything at the minute. It's in pretend Valium, it's in marijuana vapes, it's in marijuana oil. I've not heard about anybody smoking it, but definitely it's in other things, because of the power that it has, the strength of it, and it's a lot more addictive and so aggressive inside the body as well. It's really nasty, but it gives you warm feelings, warm fuzzy feelings. It's a pain reliever. They're all pain relievers, but it gives you that warm fuzzy feeling, and it helps you to be comfortable in your own skin. Why do you think they serve alcohol at all these social events? Because it helps you to connect with yourself, and it helps you to connect with others. Interestingly, what I found is that many of these substances were spiritual tools that were made for connecting you, that were made for opening different pathways or whatever, but they've been misused, they've been taken out of the context. People are still getting the benefit from using them, but they're like a bad partner, you know. They lie to you, they steal all your money, they want you alone, they want you dead. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. People are dying in their droves. So alcohol and those opioids, it's about discovery, it's about shaking it up, it's about learning who you are. It's a party drug, it's a social drug. Alcohol reconnects you to yourself and it enables you to connect with others. And then we've got cocaine, psychostimulants. Wow, that gives you a big boost of confidence. That makes you feel like you're top of the social ladder. That gives you a sense of connection with others, can have the most amazing conversations and experiences. When I'm using cocaine, I can chat for hours, I feel confident, I can get out there. So you get that sense of connection, community, achievement, confidence. It's all fantasy, it's all a lie, but it's what people feel. Now, in the therapy room, I use the map to kind of understand where people are, but in the therapy room, I use the trance protocol. So we always tend to have a bit of a pre-talk where you'll tell your client what's going to happen today, how they're going to feel, and we build the expectation in that pre-talk. Then we might do a trance induction and bring about focus and relaxation. We might enhance that with a deepener or 2 or 3. Then we maybe do some of the deeper work, the change work, and then we bring people out. That's the route of trance generally, and that's the route that we take when we're working with addiction as well. But here, what we need to do in the therapy room, in the consultation, is recognize what's the client's pre-talk when they're using substances. It might be, God, can't wait for Friday night, I'm going to get wasted. Or I deserve this, I've worked hard all week. Or I just want to get out of my head. I just want to escape my body. I just want to go talk to that really attractive fella who I've been fancying for weeks, but oh, I can't speak to him without having a whatever it is that people are choosing. So we in the consultation, we investigate what is their pre-talk. And then through language patterns and suggestion therapy and metaphors and all of the tools and techniques that we have, we bring that to our pre-talk. We're going to find that naturally today. We're going to go in on that journey and discover that's already within you, and you don't need to use the substance to find that. So if the pre-talk is I'm going to relax, well then let's bring in relaxation. If the pre-talk is I need to just feel confident, I want to get out there and speak to people and I can't speak to people without it, or if the pre-talk is just need to get stuff done and I want to achieve, or I just want to chill out and be with my thoughts and get creative, whatever it is that pre-talk is, we bring that into the trance, in the pre-talk and the trance induction. We then bring about relaxation and focus, and again, part of and parcel of that of the substance use. There's a moment where you have that drink, or you smoke that joint, or you have that line of coke, or whatever it is that you're using, where you get what it is that you need. You have your needs met, and you is the kind of feeling I used to get. Oh, thank God, thank goodness I've found this. Thank goodness I'm on this. I made it to Friday and I'm on it now. I'm on it for the weekend. I'm on it for a week. I'm what is that? What is that relief? What is that they are getting from this substance? And bring that in to the trance induction and the deepener process. Once we've kind of got the keys as well and the understanding of what that is for that client, then we want to take that and enhance it. So we can use like submodalities, altering perception, altering people's inner world, and we want to create the atmosphere. It's also useful to find out like where they are when they're using substances. Are they like around their friends? Are they listening to music? And what is it that they're engaging with and connecting with? And then bring that into the session using metaphor, using all the amazing techniques that we've got to enhance and use imagination and emotion in this way. We have this amazing set of tools that we can just do this so easily and so effectively, and it works so well. So bring about the atmosphere, and then what tends to happen is people have a line or two, or they have a few drinks and they get chatting and dancing, and then they think, I want more. I want more of this. I want to get higher. I want to get more out of my head, whatever it is that them telling themselves. What is it that they're looking to achieve in that high, I need more moment? What is that? So again, I'll use some more techniques to enhance that. And I call that the narcosis, which is when people go deep sea diving and they kind of get narcosis, they get like almost like drunk from being deep in. And that was kind of what was in my mind. You're now deep in it, but you want more. You want that narcosis. So whatever it is that they're getting from the substance, whatever it is that they're seeking in that moment, we bring it into the session and really enhance it. So they're almost having like a fix, but it's a natural way. We're bringing natural bodily reactions. We're taking them on a holiday in their head. We're doing things that are going to enhance the release of serotonin. And that release of serotonin is really, really important. I'm not really planning on talking about that too much today, but if you think dopamine is the go, 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 serotonin is the break. It's the I'm satisfied now. I've had enough. I'm happy. It's kind of a more balance. So what's the narcosis? We're bringing that to it. Once we've got them into that place, they're in a really, really suggestible, pliable state. They're receptive to change. So that's where we do the change work. That's where we do the suggestion therapy. That's where we do like the what's at the root of it stuff. That's where we might use parts therapy. That's where we might use our investigative tools. That's where we might talk to the subconscious in whatever way we do that. That's where we do that deeper work. And then we bring them back out. We bring them back out in the nice way. They don't get the come down anymore. They get they get to maintain feelings of goodness. And this is where we throw at them every single positive, direct suggestion, indirect, post-hypnotic suggestions in here as well. So they come out feeling good. And that's the kind of journey. This was what really helped me, becoming more authentic, being resilient, being vulnerable. Prayer and meditation are very central to what's healed me. And as like I said at the beginning, hypnotherapy was really important. And just things like getting some exercise, supporting people after they've had therapy, getting them to engage in things that are going to help them to continue in their lives, to feel more confident, to connect with others. So I took up a bit of boxing and got a dog. Dogs are the most healing things in the world. There he is giving me a cuddle and looking all innocent. But I encourage people to feed their mind, read something good every day, watch something good every day, learn something good every day, pray if that's your way, or meditate, do some stretching, do some exercise. I call it my spiritual breakfast because I do this every day. It keeps me, even now it keeps me, and if I don't, I know about it because I'm grumpy. Not very nice. So we feed our body, don't we, in the morning, all this green stuff that's going to energize us and keep us going. Let's feed our minds, and leaving our clients with that concept of feeding your mind in the way that you want to feed your body is really helpful. I learned that acts of service really build self-esteem. So I did a lot of voluntary work, working with refugees, and I think the work that I do and teaching is definitely, I feel, of service, and it makes me feel good, and it really builds me up. And doing this work with the Sharp study with Stirling University and the Salvation Army is just amazing, because I'm supporting people who really need that support, who've really lost everything, and their home and their mental health. And it's a great opportunity to see how peer support, and bringing this work into this environment can be so helpful. So I found my tribe, got my community. I reconnected. I got my daily spiritual practice. I connected with my purpose, which I've put God, but that's giving every day to somebody or something. Oneness, connecting with people. And D is my divine calling, following that divine calling. I take steps to help and serve others. Got my relationship back with myself. I look after myself, eat well, sleep well, meet my needs in a more holistic way, and I feed my mind with good stuff, my body and my soul with nourishing stuff every day. And I do my best whenever I can to share my story and tell people when I'm having a bit of a bad day. I've written a couple of books. I've got married. Life is such a beautiful, beautiful gift. The other side, I remember waking up in the morning and just being sad that I was awake. And now I'm just surrounded by all these gorgeous people and so much love. I really can never express what a miracle it is that I am here in the first place. But these are some of the things that I say to myself every day. I am a beautiful work in progress. I am a miracle. I am joy. I am Amanda Joy, but I am joy. I'm filled with gratitude. I do my best to shine my light so that others can too. This too shall pass. It's got to be something that is part of your resilience. And every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and learning. And I think that's everything that I've said. So thank you for listening to me talk about this. I hope I haven't gone well over.
Oh, it was awesome. That was totally wonderful.
The
Thank you so
flavour
much.
of what I do. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and feel free to pop off mute. Peter, you'd asked a question before she went into the trance protocol. But yeah, please just hop on off and ask Amanda anything that you'd like to ask her.
Yeah, please. I might not be able to answer you, but I'll give it a go.
Does anybody have any questions?
We got Katie and Peter, they're both off.
Okay.
I will. Amanda, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That was so inspiring. I have been on that journey as well back in the day, and continue to just keep growing on it myself. And I look forward to be able to work with those same types of clients. I do now, not necessarily with drugs and alcohol, but other, I guess, soft addictions, if you will, habits. And it was just so wonderful and inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Patty.
Yes, Patty.
You're
Pick yourself
muted
off
on.
mute.
My buttons aren't working today. Took me a while to figure it out. I don't know if I have a question, but I just want to say you're so delightful to listen to and to watch you, and your authenticity is truly addictive, if I might use that word. The way that you took, I love the way that you took your story, and with that authenticity and that honesty and that reflection from all of the things that you lived through, and you've turned that into something that is such a service to others. And that I can see that light shining through you from where you came from and how you have developed this beautiful protocol. I know this is probably a much simplified version of whatever you do. I'd love to have a copy of the PowerPoint if you're giving some handout. But it's simple, yet it's complex, and I can tell just in your little explanations. And I just wanted to comment about that because it really shines through that your ability to take what you learned and, not make it like a cookie cutter approach, but to use your intellect about what you learned and continue to be open to learn how it can then apply to whatever other people are experiencing, and give you kind of insight into what to listen for and what to watch for. And the fact that you're teaching others in this field about how to address these things, because a lot of people are uncomfortable or afraid, to deal with these kinds of things. And it's just, you make it beautifully just natural. I just really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. That's really lovely to hear. It's it's hypnotherapy just opened up this like box of solutions. I was like, why was not everybody using this? I mean, I do believe that recovery is like a Velcro suit and you've got to try loads of different things and you'll find it. But in terms of like helping people become more authentic, helping people be really honest with themselves, helping people build their resilience, helping people to be more vulnerable, helping people recognize that the substance was doing something good for you. What was that? What's the imagination process around that? What are the emotions and sensations that are going on for you? Because that's our toolkit. That's what we use all the time. And it's kind of really accessible to us. And we have this really incredible toolbox, and everybody should be using it, particularly when it comes to things like addiction, because the other solutions are just not working. People are dying. The problem is getting worse, not better, and the substances are getting stronger, and it's just not getting this. This is a problem that's not going to go away, and we need that non-judgmental, compassionate approach that really deals with what's going on in here, and this is what we do in our therapy. So it just seemed really exciting to me. So. Yeah, thank you for that.
I got an observation that the protocol that you've put together is definitely applicable to habits as well.
Yes.
Calling it an addiction and that it's, drugs and alcohol and that it's killing people, it's a stark contrast that made it pop out to me. And I was like, discovering those things about a client during the discovery phase of, them being your client, and then being able to know how to, if it's a habit that's serving them well or a habit that's not serving them well. And if it's not serving them well, what are they trying to fill in that? Why are they using that habit to fill in that space? What is missing? Again, so I think that what you've outlined can be very easily adapted to, just standard old habits too.
I think all habits, I think for every kind of habit or ritual that we engage with, there's a sweet spot. There's a moment of real intense pleasure. There's a moment where we have our needs met, where we connect with purpose, whatever it is, that's that good bit. And for a lot of us, that then goes away and we never experience that again with a habit or a ritual, but we keep trying to find it. And when we can understand what that sweet spot is, what is it that you get from this that is good? What is it that you're seeking? What are the fantasies around this? What are the lies that you're telling yourself about what you're going to get from this? Smoking, shopping, any of those things that we're repeating that we can't seem to stop, we can kind of like go, oh, hang on a minute, what's actually going on? And what I'm finding with my clients is that they're learning about themselves. So they're going on that journey of building resilience. They're going on that journey of becoming more vulnerable, more open, and they're becoming more authentic as they go, because they're learning more about themselves as well. It's that reflective kind of process.
Just one thing that I tell smokers is you essentially gave up your resourcefulness to this toxic burning thing, but the resourcefulness is still in you. We just have to reconnect you to it.
Absolutely.
So, that could, you're right, it could be for shopping, it could be for anything, and maybe they didn't know it real well, but maybe then we got to introduce it, like whatever they're trying to get from shopping, maybe they didn't know that well in their life. We got to find it. Okay, it's awesome. Totally awesome. I do have a good question about, I think that a lot of people are fearful, Patricia said specifically fearful, I think, of, addressing these things because, where do you feel, I know you're in the UK, things are a bit different, but it's okay, just talk straight. Where do you feel it's appropriate for us to be able to say, yes, we can help, at what stage or whatever, or when do we say out of scope? Because I do have somebody I refer to if they're out of scope. It feels much safer for me. But what say you?
So I think it's about the amount that's being used, because some people are gonna need a medical detox. They're
Yeah.
going to need, and I don't think we're ever gonna ever turn anyone away from getting a variety of help. Like I'm like, go see a counselor, get into a group, go swimming in the sea with some crazy people, I don't know, in the winter. Whatever works for you, cold showers, it just could be anything, because it's a Velcro suit. What hypnotherapy does is it helps people to recognize what it is that they need to do. Like I remember having a parts therapy session, and my part that knew what to do said, you just need to sing and you need to dance around the house. And you know what I did? I sang and I danced around the house. And what I realized I was doing, I'm shaking off all of the trauma. It was like a somatic thing almost. I was shaking it off. I was laughing. I was being silly. I was being childlike. I was healing my inner child. We know we have the solutions within us. Obviously, I was reflective on that part of my journey and thought, oh my goodness, that's what I was doing. Because I had the insights that training in hypnotherapy gave me. But it, clients will know what they need to do and where they need to go, and we just will need to facilitate and support that.
So
So
would you like if they came to you and you thought they were out of scope of you helping at the time, would you say, hey, we can do this now. I can help you get the help you want. Like we could do a session on that you need to get detox. So I'm going to do something that's going to help you seek that help. And then when you're done with that, you can come back and we can continue sessions. Something like
that's
that.
exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not appropriate for me to work with you right now. So let's do this. Let's have a look at this. I do also have naloxone to hand as well, which is like a really life-saving thing. If you're not trained in naloxone, I'd quite happily do a naloxone training for you. There's I don't know how the law is in America, but in the UK, anybody who may be around somebody who could potentially have an overdose, so like mums, dads, nanas, grandmas, whoever, grandpas, anyone who's around anyone who potentially could have an overdose on an opiate.
Oh, you're talking about like Narcan. They call it Narcan
There you
here.
go, now
Same
on
thing. Okay, that's what you meant. Yeah, okay, got it.
you can have that, and you can have the one you put up the nose if you're not happy about in injection form, nasal application form, and that is absolutely life-saving. I think the issue is poly use is a challenge. If people are on multiple substances, they might not know what they're detoxing from. If they're using opiates and mixing it with things like gabapentin or benzodiazepines, there's poly use there. The benzodiazepines can stay in your system for like seven days. So you might have had your Valium on a Monday, but on a Wednesday it's still in your system. So now you're having a drink and Valium, it's poly use. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing such an increase in deaths, because people are going, I need to feel calm today. I need to feel awake today. And they're going for that instant what they need. And that's poly substance use. So they've got all of these substances stacked up in their system. And, then they have a line of Coke on a Friday night and it kills them.
Whoa, man.
So I think, what are they taking and how much are they taking? And ask them what would happen if you stop taking it. They'll tell you. And if it is, I'm going to feel really ill, I'm going to feel, then absolutely work with somebody, send them to get that support. There are like lots and lots of places that people can go to get that help. Home recovery, home detox. Our NHS does detoxes. I mean, it's not holistic at all. But they'll do that.
Keep them from dying while they're doing it.
People die,
Yeah.
detox, particularly
Yeah.
alcohol detox is super
Mhm.
dangerous. So yeah, get that
Yeah, I will say
support in there.
I've taken on clients who lied to me, and I'm not, and then I just say, I'm sorry, it's gonna have to turn this around and send you, here's your resources, and actually get me your husband, so that here's the resources, right? So that's just, I would say, don't be afraid to take them on. They may lie, but when you realize they actually lied, and send them where they need to go so that they don't die while they detox. I don't know. That is just the
And I think
case.
just have really clear boundaries about
Yeah.
what you charge and
Totally.
how they pay you and
Yep.
what time they need to arrive. And if they're
Oh gosh.
late, don't work with them. And if they're there because somebody sent them, don't work with them. And you know, be in all the ways that we are always cautious, be very firm in those boundaries. And if we sniff a rat, if we think this is lies, ask the question. I want us to be really honest. I want us to be really open. There's a level of authenticity that we need to have, and you can be here and be that. So I'm going to ask you this question. When did you last have a drink? Was it today? And it might be that you need to do most of your sessions like early on a Tuesday morning when people are like over the weekend a little bit. Maybe in a space where you can get them to focus. They need to be able to focus. If we haven't got focus, we're not gonna, you know, and we need to have that rapport as well. So if you're really uncomfortable with them, probably not.
Right.
Your
Right. If it's not for you, if this work isn't for you, it's not for you. Yes, Peter.
Hey, nice presentation. Thank you so much. You know, I'm familiar with this area, both as a helper and as someone who I mentioned in private message to you, I have 20 years this May of being in recovery.
Yeah.
So I know about, you know, that realm. And one of the things that we're told is it's cunning, baffling, and seductive.
Oh, yes.
Right. And, you know, I find that most people don't think, at least in America, of hypnosis as their first or second or even third choice if they're contemplating, if they're in the contemplation mode. You know, I was taught in the model that you're in denial and then you go into contemplation. Denial is, no, there's nothing wrong. Contemplation is, maybe I have a problem. And then there's recovery, and then there's like the rest of your life. But if people are like thinking, oh, you know, maybe, unless they're mandated, a lot of people, it's hard for them to reach the point where they say enough, right? Maybe they have a near-death experience, or a friend overdoses, or, you know, whatever. So getting to the point of saying, yes, I need help, for me, it took a really long time. And of course, you know, just to share a little bit, the irony was that I had a very successful hypnosis practice for quite a while with a secret addiction. And, you know, it was like, you know, that was my big, in some ways, the secret, and that they say you're only as sick as your secrets. And that was like a bigger, so being vulnerable. But a question I had was in terms of transparency. Like, I'm happy in this group talking about it, you know, saying, yes, I did all that stuff, and, you know, no shame at this point. Where do you think do you always tell people that you're working with your story, or is that a selective thing? No. Okay. Well, no, that's why I asked. Because, you know, sometimes, I mean, the old model of therapy was you're a complete cipher. You don't, that the client doesn't know anything about you. If you're married, not, whatever, where you live, you have a sterile office, and you're a blank mirror that they're looking at to project anything on. Nowadays, that's not quite the case. People are much more open and vulnerable, and maybe it would be helpful for you to hear a little bit, you know, like, I'm one of you, I can relate, or, you know, whatever, but not everything.
For the rapport building element of it, it's really helpful. And I think for I think for the evidence, like, look, it works, I'm here, I'm alive. I think that's also really helpful. So it helps to build that positive expectation, and it helps with the rapport building. I don't think you need to have had the experience to do it. Although there is some really interesting research that I'm part of now that does talk about how lived experience does really, really help you understand people. But what my my honest opinion of that is it's not really too much to do with the lived experience and more that
You know what theirs is.
I understand where they're at. I see them, but it's more about I don't trust the regular services. I don't trust my doctor. I don't trust my physician. I don't trust the drug supportive organizations. I have no trust in any of them. I either think they don't work, or I think they're going to harm me, or they're going to try and punish me, or they're going to take something from me that I really love. And I'm not ready to do that yet. So there's a lot of fear about engaging with normal services, whereas I'm outside of those normal services. There's an added layer of confidentiality, I think, as well. She understands because she's experienced it. I remember in early recovery, I was recommended, I got a sponsor, and I'm going to be a bit crude, but I picked a lady who used to run a whorehouse. You know, she rented women out for
Peter.
she was really good at it. But it was a really rough place, and you know, it was hard drugs and there was lots of violence and lots of things. And I thought, I'm going to partner you because I can be authentic with you. I can tell you my darkest stuff and you are not going to be shocked. So I think there is, you know, nothing's gonna blow your mind, because and so I think there's something about the comfort that they can have being and opening up and sharing stuff with you. Having said that, we don't really need to know all that stuff, and in the therapy room it's not essential for us to go into all that detail. I think it's more good for marketing purposes.
So one other thing, I work a lot with sound. You notice the gongs.
Yes.
So besides hypnosis, I work with sound, and I also believe in giving back to the community. So there's a local recovery place near where I live called Samadhi. And some years ago, they were looking for people to come in and bring additional stuff. And I started going in and doing little sound meditations for the people in early recovery, or people not quite in recovery, and also the staff. And it was very popular. And I'd start out by saying, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get high. It's just the way you're doing it. You know, there are many other ways
of getting high, yeah.
to get, you know, you can
Dancing.
and I talk about I want to hear a lecture by the head of the University of California pharmacology department years ago, and he said there are a few primary drives throughout all of history. You know, the drive for food and shelter, for survival, the drive to procreate and keep the species, and the drive to get high. He said every culture in every period of history, there were people picking mushrooms, or, you know, boiling up leaves, or what, you know, and so that's sort of built into our system. That you talked about, serotonin and dopamine, that those are, we like them. They're the what did she call them? Candice Pert, the
happy dose.
Yes.
The enzymes, or the neurochemistry of joy and of happiness. So we all want that. We're seeking that, but we get led into very self-destructive ways of doing it.
I think it's helping people to see that they can get that real grounded, proper happiness from the small things, the simplest things, like, you know, the little drawing that your niece or your nephew did for you that you're not really sure what it is, but they gave it to you as a gift and it's on your fridge. Those things that you look at, they're beautiful, you know, like just smiling at people in the street to see if they'll smile back at you. And we can throw these little kind of like do something good and don't get caught activities in as I kind of post therapy homework, if you like, because these are going to awake them up to these beautiful little moments of joy. And I think if we can alert, you know, make people aware of those things, that's going to give them a lovely dose, isn't it, of good stuff every day. And that's I think we can introduce the real authentic happiness, and they can be vulnerable and open enough to experience it. That's healing. That's really healing.
Yes,
Yeah,
Danny.
Danny.
Thank you, Amanda, for this, for what you went through to be able to share this wonderful insight with us, and then also for sharing your joy. I really appreciate everything you shared, especially someone who works with and has deconstructed my own eating disorder, which I think falls very beautifully into the category of this work. And working with eating, as Sean said, it's any habit, any behavior, I think, would be relevant. And I think I really appreciated what you shared and how you deconstructed the space between safety and love and what people are seeking, the things they're moving away from and the things they're moving towards. And what I most appreciated was that I think as practitioners, we are often really bent on examining the leading edge of behavior and what someone's feeling in the context and what they're trying to move away from by virtue of using this substance or this tool, this vehicle to get somewhere else. And as a habit grows stronger and is used more often, the ability to deconstruct the awareness of what's at that leading edge, it gets harder and harder. And so what I feel like you've given us is an ability to look safely at the resolving edge or even the active edge to say, all right, what are you getting from this safely without ignoring? We're not going to ignore the fact that there's a lack of safety at the beginning of this behavior, but we're going to just focus on this, and then resource the client to the extent that now you've got a name for it. Hey, you want a headspace? That's okay. How can we find this in another way? And then, hey, you put some vocabulary around, I think, something that, while generalized, is specific. And what I love to add to that is that you have applied an overlay of the substance and what the substance produces. Yeah. That was brilliant in my book. And my recommendation, if you haven't already done this, is get involved in some research studies to observe either on a front end assessment and a measurement of where's this person and how do they identify with the need of one of these four things, and what substance they're using, and try to track that throughout your process. I think that would be very powerful for our field, but just for the field of addiction as well.
In my dreams, I would love to.
Right. So thank you. Thank you.
Something, but that would be really exciting. I feel like you say that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, as someone who unravels this stuff every day for people, especially with the eating, I don't work very much with other substances, although I have. It's the same thing. And there's a move away and there's a move towards. And I just love that you've put the vocabulary around the move towards. That is not a set of limiting beliefs reversed. I want to feel power. You've really, and your Maslow's hierarchy is very beautifully articulated in this compass. I can see it in every point of it, which speaks to how well devised and well conceived your work is. So thank you.
This conversation is a beautiful example of how, you, Amanda, joy, you brought it. And then we have you guys that make it, kind of do like this. So now it's expanding. Mm-hmm. And my point is that Amanda Joy, I love and appreciate you. And you guys, thank you for being here. Yeah. This is what makes these type of conversations,
I think at some point in today, I realized that this is where I get part of my whatever that it's like this.
Well, I felt that earlier.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we did
our max.
we totally did. So brilliant. Thank you so much. We're going to do a little wrap up here, but we want to thank you. And if you've watched this recording, please do know you can comment on this video. Amanda will be back to answer any questions you have, and just let her know that you loved it, because and share, please. Like and share the HEA for more of this. We can spread this love in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on HEA's HypnoConnect, the podcast by the Hypnosis Education Association, a not-for-profit organization serving the hypnosis community since 1998. Proudly sponsored by Hypno Biz in a Box, the all-in-one platform for building a thriving hypnosis practice without burnout. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, and share it with a fellow hypnotist. Ready to grow with a supportive educational community? Join the HEA today and help us spread the word about the nature, uses, and benefits of hypnosis. Visit us at hypnosiseducationassociation.com. And if you're looking to get started, streamline, or scale your hypnosis business, head on over to hypnobizinabox.com, where you'll attract steady clients, generate reliable income, and be supported by a community of like-minded hypnosis professionals. Until next time, find a Hypno Buddy, stay inspired, and stay connected to HEA's Hypno Connect.